Alright. These are our limited releases for the, well, it's 3 of the 4 limited releases that were supposed to be this. Some of them are from this week, some of them are from next week, but I wasn't able to get the English teacher because of a technical difficulty. I got 32 minutes into it, so that'll have to, be with Epic and Fast and Furious and all those. But I was able to get in these 3. The first one is apparently it had been getting traction for a while because it has Eli Roth's name on it, and he's also in it. And it's Aftershock, which is basically it's the, not really in general, but like I guess the framing of the story is exactly like Hostel. Because you have a group of friends who are in a foreign country, and there's about 40 minutes of character development and nothing horror related.
Okay.
But then finally it goes into the gore almost an hour in, and it's horrific and graphic and what you would expect out of an Eli Roth movie.
Very fun then.
But the thing is Roth he produced, wrote, and he co-wrote it with like 2 other guys.
Okay.
The first thing I gotta point out, because I think it's probably important to know, is unlike a lot of people, I am a huge fan of Eli Roth. He's wrote and directed 3 movies, but with those 3 movies, he's proven to me that he's like this sadistic genius that the critics don't understand.
Kind of like Rob Zombie. For a while, at least.
Yeah.
At the beginning. I know you don't like the other ones, but still. At the beginning, he was like that.
But I love Cabin Fever. I always did. And there's like a genius to the Hostel movies that I think a lot of people ignore. Which people might find that weird when they hear it, but that's just how I happen to view it, I guess.
I just wasn't big on the Hostel movies myself. I mean, they weren't really supposed to be scary. But, I mean, I guess kind of, but they weren't really scary to me, and obviously everyone knows I'm a big scaredy cat.
But what's great about Eli Roth is all his movies are slow burn.
Okay. Makes sense.
Cabin Fever, Hostel, and Hostel 2 all have... This actually pisses a lot of people off, the gore hounds, basically. But
oh, yeah.
His movies take forever to get to the gore, which I think is really cool. Which is irritating because people complain about the Eli Roth movies and say they're too slow.
Mm-hmm.
But people love the Paranormal Activity movies. When, if ever there was a slow horror franchise...
I don't know why people like those movies, though, to be honest. Can you tell me why? I mean, from your opinion, what do you think people see in those movies? Because I don't see anything in them.
I don't even know. I mean, obviously, the first one was gimmicky, because
nobody
had ever seen anything like it, but... Well, unless you count Blair Witch and all those, but...
Yeah. There's always that.
But the thing is people flock to these Paranormal Activity movies.
Why?
And these are the same people that would complain that movies like this are boring. So
it blows my mind. It always has.
But anyway, the reason Paranormal Activity does it, I don't know what they're doing, but
no one does.
The movies like Aftershock falls into these. That's why I'm saying this.
Okay.
Along with Hostel and to an extent Cabin Fever too. It takes a really long time because you actually know the characters and know everything. I mean, a lot of people say it's pointless because you spend 50 minutes of the movie getting to know them and then they just get off just like that. But then again, every time you watch old horror movies, people always complain. The big cliche is characters die that you never knew. You didn't even know their names.
The more you're invested in the character, the more that you care when they die.
Which is what Eli Roth looks into. I should probably mention this. I keep saying this, but he actually... the guy that played the paranoid roommate in Dead Man on Campus actually got a co-writing credit for Cabin Fever.
Lachlan Monroe?
No, the second one.
Okay.
The one that was afraid of Bill Gates.
Okay, I gotcha. I don't know that guy's name.
Randy Perlstein, I think. Steen or Stein. I never know. But, anyway, I should probably get going now. But yes, I love Eli Roth, so I was hyped for this movie. Despite the fact that he only got a co-writing credit, and he's a producer, but
All right.
his name's all over, you know, the posters and shit, so... like it was for Last Exorcist.
Yeah.
It starts in, the whole movie is set in Chile. I've always heard it Chile, but I guess it's popular to say Chile now. But either way, it's the same place. And it's, two guys that I guess... I don't know how they know each other. Like, I guess they work together. Because they tell that they're trying to pick up this girl, and they say that, we never learned if this is true or not, but, supposedly they're in town to put on a RZA concert. apparently they work for him, which is, you know, Eli Roth and RZA.
Yeah, that's awesome, by the way.
So it's two guys, and they speak Spanish, and Eli Roth, who doesn't speak Spanish, and they just call him Gringo through the whole movie. We never learn his real name.
That's awesome, by the way.
Even on IMDb, his character name is just Gringo.
That's awesome.
And they're all in this bar, and they spend all night, like, just day after day trying to, like, it actually says Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday when it goes. Kind of like sideways. Only
Yeah.
Not.
I gotcha.
And they're going to these bars, and they're trying to pick up women. And Eli Roth just can't. And we get some character development on him, because we learn that he has a daughter that he's trying to, like, contact with, and...
Okay.
Like, she's like, oh, I gotta go, someone's here, and he's like, what, who's there? And she's like, it's mommy's new boyfriend, and she just hangs up.
Ouch.
So his day is just ruined, and then there's a cameo. Apparently a largely publicized cameo, because people were kind of pissed when they learned it was only a cameo, because apparently it was a rumor for a while she's supposed to be a star in it.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to pick up a girl at the bar, and the girl is Selena Gomez.
That's awesome.
And he's just trying to pick her up, and he's got a really funny line where her friend comes up and is like trying to get her away from him, and he's like, well, you know, he's from San Diego, so he says, well, you know, if you're ever in San Diego, and she just kind of glares at him, she's like, if I'm ever in San Diego, what? And he's like, if you're ever in San Diego, they got a pretty awesome zoo.
That's amazing.
So anyway, this goes on for a while, and then they finally meet these two girls and their sisters. And they're always fighting. Like, one's, like, supposed to be in charge of the other, or, like, the one that's, like, tight-knit, and the other that's, like, wants to party. Like, literally, she acts like somebody I may or may not know. And she pretty much, just in a rage, says, you know what? I'm just gonna fuck every single person in the bar. And she announces that, and she's like, come on, if somebody wants to fuck me, come here.
Man or woman, it doesn't really matter.
So,
equal opportunities.
There's that. And by the way, Eli Roth is the only person in this movie I recognize. They're like other than him, there's like a bunch of nobodies. But apparently he's like all good friends with them, because a lot of them are coming back. He's writing and directing a new movie called The Green Inferno, and most of them are in that, are going to be in that. So I guess he'll bring them to light, even though we don't know them right now. And of course, you have your, we're still building up to the gore and suspense, so there's one of those false scares where they're on, like, I don't know what they're called. They're kind of like those things that you can ride in that, like, are on a wire.
Like the end of Johnny English?
If you want to go there.
Yeah.
But they go, like, up and down.
Cable cars, basically. Like
pretty much, yeah. They have a real name that I can't remember what they are now, but
ski lifts?
not quite.
You know what I'm talking about, though. Yeah.
It's the same concept.
Yeah, I gotcha. Okay. I
Um,
don't remember what it's called either.
and of course they get stuck on one of these, but it's just a false scare. So,
Of course.
but it comes back later.
Of course.
With a vengeance. So finally, they're in this underground club. And of course, this is the absolute worst place they could be, because while they're in this underground club, an earthquake hits.
Oh boy.
And wipes everything out. And they play it off like it's the beginning of a Final Destination movie.
Nice.
Like, I could actually see this as a Final Destination incident. Like, you see people get crushed, and you see people get impaled, and all the stuff in the bar, like, comes down on him. One guy's trying to save a girl, and a shell comes down and rips his hand off.
David Kashner gets hit with a tractor or something out of nowhere.
Yeah. And there's kind of a This scene was pretty brutal. This was probably the most brutal scene of the movie, but it only lasted for a second. The gore actually was not as bad as I was anticipating by what people were saying.
For Eli Roth, that's strange.
It was still one of those movies where Eli Roth has to go through this every single movie he makes. It started with NC-17 and he had to cut it. But yeah, that's just part of the assembly line for him.
Could you tell what was cut and what wasn't? Like, could you tell what should have been longer that wasn't?
Not really. Maybe in one scene, but that was towards the end.
All right.
But the thing is there's this. They finally find a ladder and there's a manhole cover, and because they got to get out from underground.
Yeah.
So they don't get trapped. And one of the girls is the first one to go up. And she pops her head out of the manhole, and as soon as she pops her head out of the manhole, she gets smacked by a car. And she's like, she comes back down and lands on the ground, and like her head's practically gone. But then problems ensue when once they're on the surface, they're listening around and they realize not only is this giant earthquake wiped everything out, there's also a big ass tsunami coming.
Oh God.
So
I guess it makes sense given the fact where they are.
Yeah, it's like a horror version of The Impossible.
That's interesting.
So, but the problem is this earthquake broke down all the prisons. So all the inmates are out. All the murderers and rapists.
The George Carlin bit that I told you about earlier this week.
So, they're coming through. There's actually this prolonged scene that this is the scene where everybody goes, like, everybody hears about this scene and they're like, I'm not watching Aftershock. But what happens is, Eli Roth gets crushed under this thing.
Okay.
It's just a piece of a building, I guess.
Got it.
And he's stuck there. And these former inmates come on. They can tell who the prisoners are because of, like, they have a tattoo or something that distinguishes them.
Gotcha.
But, he's stuck under this thing, and these guys come up, and they, like, rob him, and then they, like, put their guns in his face, and then they douse him in, like, a flammable liquid, and, like, put matches up to his face just to freak him out. I won't say how that scene ends, but you can probably guess. But the thing that really bothers me about that scene is, these inmates rape the girls. And this goes on for a while. Like, they don't show as much as you would expect, but that's probably one of the scenes that got cut.
Clockwork Orange?
Yeah, just not as elaborate and without singing in the rain.
Yeah.
But, I could almost see Eli Roth doing that as a... But yeah,
Me too.
Apparently the rape scenes, like, got out into the news, and that, like, turned everybody off the movie. But
I gotcha.
They don't really show that much. So, I mean, if you're disturbed by that kind of thing, they show enough to disturb you, but for the most part, you could probably put up with it if you've seen Eli Roth's other movies. You've seen much worse.
Very true.
The problem with this movie, though, is I actually didn't like the movie overall, unfortunately, because first off, I think that's another reason I wasn't. For a little while, I was into The Walking Dead. For the most part, I thought it was redundant and it's the same old shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes back to, I think, 28 Days Later. I'm sure it happens all the time, but 28 Days Later is what I always go back to. That trend that started for a long time where everybody thinks it's cool to have, like, if you have, like, zombies or, like, vampires or something in your movie, but you have an antagonist that's not either one of those things.
Yeah.
Like, in The Walking Dead, it's like, the zombies are the antagonists, but there's a whole bunch of other things going on. Just like, the real antagonists of 28 Days Later are the army guys.
That's true.
Well, that plot point in horror movies is kind of done to death now.
Correct.
So with the whole, you have to be more afraid of the inmates than the earthquake thing is,
redundant.
Yeah.
Very much so.
And, it tries a little too hard to have, I mean, I know we have it tries a little too hard to have heart. Like, there's this, like, I mean, obviously a little heart is okay because it makes it real, but, like, you could tell it was one of those, it wasn't really sincere. It was like, we need to put heart in this movie, so let's have this cheesy scene in there. It's like a guy gets shot by somebody who thinks he's a prisoner when he's not. And the last thing he does before he dies is call his dad, and, just, like, I think what they were trying to do was, it's almost like, the Hostel movies never go that route. The Hostel movies are really cold. Like, there is the scene in the first Hostel where Jay Hernandez sees Derek Richardson on the table after he's dead, and that's kind of but for the most part, the Hostel movies don't really go into that.
Mm-mm.
So I guess Eli Roth was kind of saying, maybe I should humanize things a little more. Like, but I don't know. But the worst part was the ending.
Okay.
Because I suppose it's not too much of a spoiler, because I guess that's the problem. I could tell you the ending right now, and it's not even a spoiler. The ending, the very last shot of the movie is the tsunami coming.
Okay.
It's like, they told us halfway through the movie the tsunami was coming, and they make it like this big payoff.
Like Melancholia?
It's like, are we supposed to, like, my first thought was, are we supposed to forget the tsunami's coming? But I don't know how you can forget the tsunami's coming. They make that a big deal. But, and then it goes into a whole, like, they save a firefighter from a truck that's crashed. He ends up trying to, like, kill the girl. And so she has to, like, fight him off. That's pretty much the climax. So it's like, that's the whole movie, what I just said.
Wow.
It's like, I could see, like, I don't even feel bad for saying that, because, like I said, I should have said spoiler before I said it ends on the tsunami coming, but
You already mentioned it in the review, actually.
yeah, and the fact that they say throughout the movie, the tsunami's coming. That's why they're all in a hurry.
Like,
and all
I thought they were going to forget about it.
But yeah, the very last shot is the tsunami coming. And that's the end.
Interesting.
I don't know, so, well, I'll look into the Green Inferno, because maybe it's better when Eli Roth's writing alone and he's directing.
I'd be remiss if we're talking about Eli Roth, I didn't bring up the fact that he actually has his own year-round haunt in Las Vegas called the Goratorium. And, yeah, I know. And it's a really awesome concept, really, and it's done year-round, and there's, like, special events for, like, the holidays and everything, and the Halloween Horror Nights fans that are watching this video, obviously, you're probably watching it for Aftershock specifically, you'd be very agitated at me if I didn't mention Goratorium, so I wanted to. Basically what it is, the haunt is like a hotel, like a haunted hotel that all sorts of really strange and depraved things have happened throughout the years, and you get a tour guide, and it's really, really, really messed up. But just like you would expect with Eli Roth. So.
He also has he's producing that Netflix show, Hemlock Grove, I think it's called.
Yeah.
I need to look into that. I haven't really heard anything about it, actually. I just know it exists.
I know that it is filming in LA because I was at Seeing Stars' website, like, just messing around the other day, and I saw that that's one of the things you can actually watch, like, filmed or film locations. So, yeah. So was that.
Our next movie is I guess an action thriller is what you'd say it is. It's called Erased, and it stars Aaron Eckhart and Olga Kurylenko, who is everywhere now. Like, I think I watch a movie every other week with her in it now. Just she was in To the Wonder and Oblivion, and I feel like I've seen her everywhere. She was just in Seven Psychopaths this past year.
Yeah.
For 2 minutes.
That's true.
If that. But the plot is, he's with his daughter. His wife's dead. She had that off-screen sickness that we never learn about. So he just lives with his daughter, and his daughter is, I think her name is Leanna Liberato, I think is how you say it. She was the girl in Trust.
Okay.
The Clive Owen movie directed by David Schwimmer about the online predators.
Trust was an awesome movie if you guys have never seen it before.
But I think they're in Russia. I'm really bad with location.
Okay.
But I think it might be Russia that they're in. Because I don't remember them really specifying. And if they did, I wasn't paying attention. But they've only lived in Russia for like 8 weeks. They just came from the States.
Okay.
And he secretly works for the CIA. The trouble is his entire, here comes the title, Peter Griffin's waiting to say, oh, he said it.
Nice.
His entire file and all of his coworkers' files have been erased from, I guess, the CIA record completely, and they're being offed because of conspiracy theory, and Eckhart's the last one left.
Okay. This sounds good so far.
So all these guys are coming to kill him.
Okay.
Trouble is this is another one of those movies that tries for character development and doesn't work out very well.
Oh,
Do you know what they do for the girl to give her character development? She has an allergic reaction to cookies with peanuts in them.
Okay.
He has to take her to the hospital.
Got it.
And she's like, how did you not know about my peanut allergy? And he's like, I'm sorry. The peanut allergy never comes back in the story after that. She just needed something.
Could it be something a little bit more
But
intelligent?
it might also be to show that he's like neglectful or something. But,
Okay, that makes sense.
You know, he's a single dad who works for the CIA.
Doesn't have much time on his hands.
God forbid he misses something. I mean, I know that's a big deal, peanut allergy, but you know, whatever.
He didn't make it.
I actually would have, if I had liked this movie, I might have given that plot point a little more credit.
Oh man.
But here's the thing: is Olga is like I guess she's she's in charge of this hunt for him.
Okay.
Because for a while they built her up as like the villain. But I used to hate Olga like when I saw Quantum of Solace, but and Hitman.
Yeah.
But she's really starting to warm up. I'm really starting to warm up to her now, but she is not a villain.
True.
She just can't do it. But yeah, of course later she helps him and all that shit. Like I don't know what. Maybe she was on his side the whole time. I couldn't tell if she was evil or not. But you know, there you go. So the problem is that the movie. One problem is the movie's completely humorless. Like.
Ooh.
I hate it when movies try to throw comedy in desperately, but this movie didn't even try. This movie is just straightforward what it is. And it's just, you know, action scenes. And the problem is he endangers her life. If you count the peanut allergy 3 times.
Wow.
Because there's a guy in the back seat with her, and he's got a gun on her.
Mm-hmm.
And Aaron Eckhart's brilliant plan is to speed the car while they're both telling him to slow down. But of course his plan is to slam on the brakes and have the guy fly into the windshield.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really want to speed down the road when a guy in the backseat has a gun to your daughter's head?
No, not really.
And risk what he might do when you slam on the brakes? Like, he might have jolted forward and maybe pulled the trigger.
He pulled the trigger when it was aimed at her, or he might have killed you in the process, too.
That happens again.
Of course.
They're behind this counter, and he's on this side, and he's pointing a random gun guy that's trying to kill them. And she's laying on the floor, and he's right here pointing his gun down at her, ready to shoot her.
Okay.
And Eckhart comes up and stabs him. And I know, obviously, you gotta act quick, because that guy's probably gonna pull the trigger right there.
Yeah, of course.
But wouldn't stabbing the guy maybe...
Cause him to pull the trigger?
Oh, this is the problem, though. Maybe if you stab him in the head, and he dies instantly, he can't do anything about it. Eckhart just stabbed him in the leg.
That would get him pissed off to the point he shoots the guy. That makes no sense at all. Yeah. Who wrote this thing?
I don't even know. I don't even know who the director is.
That's a good sign.
Aaron Eckhart, Olga, and the girl are the only people I've seen before that are in this movie.
Again, not a good sign.
It was released under the title The Expatriate in other countries last year. But for some reason, they're just now showing it here this year in limited release this week. But anyway, another thing is it's really it's like your generic action movie. Like, this movie is incredibly forgettable, and it's just completely by the numbers, and you know, there's nothing new here at all. Is it straight to video, or that's what it should have been? Is it that bad? You mean, is it worthy of straight to video?
Yeah.
It feels a little straight to video, except for the fact that that's the problem. Is after The Dark Knight, Aaron Eckhart was supposed to be this huge thing.
Nope.
Like, he had a great part in Rabbit Hole.
Rabbit Hole's awesome.
He was Oscar worthy in Rabbit Hole.
Agreed.
And back in like '96, I think, when Neil LaBute made it in The Company of Men, that's when people noticed Aaron Eckhart, and then he was like an indie guy for a long time. He was in all Neil LaBute's movies.
Okay.
But then he got in The Dark Knight, and that was like a huge deal. Like,
yeah.
And he also had Thank You for Smoking before The Dark Knight, which also got him a lot of attention.
Absolutely.
But he is just... Where has he been? Like, Olympus Has Fallen was like... Well, that's the thing, though, is...
It's basically a cameo, in essence.
The thing about this movie, and the thing about Olympus Has Fallen, is when he gets these great parts, he knows what to do with them.
Yeah.
But when he's in these movies, you gotta give the guy credit, because when he's in these movies like this and Olympus Has Fallen and all those, you can tell that he's knows what he's in, but he tries anyway. So that's what makes him so underrated. I can't believe I'm saying somebody that had a major part in The Dark Knight is underrated, but he is still.
As weird as it is, that's the vibe I get, and I can't believe I'm actually saying this, of Robert Pattinson. When he cares about the project, he actually gives a very awesome performance. When he doesn't care about the project, he has Twilight.
Eckhart has a reputation now, though.
That's true.
Like, in The Company of Men, it's like 96, I think, or 98. It's in there somewhere.
My years are terrible, so yeah, it's something around that time.
So he's had since then to like really, and he's had a lot of great parts. He's especially does Neil LaBute favors. Like LaBute did the Wicker Man remake, with Cage,
which I liked.
And Aaron Eckhart is just the guy in the trucks. He doesn't even have a line. He's just a guy sitting in the truck stop that's leaving as Cage is coming in. And he just walks by in a deleted scene of Lakeview Terrace.
That's awesome.
But so yeah, he needs to get back out there and get like those rabbit hole parts. And
I agree with that.
Occasionally, if he can, those Dark Knight parts. But Olympus Has Fallen isn't cutting it, and this sure as shit isn't cutting it, because this guy's got like a lot to show. I don't understand why after Thank You for Smoking he hasn't worked with Jason Reitman again. Like, you think he would have shown up in something? He would have been good in Jason Bateman's part in Juno, I think.
I agree with that.
But not to demean Bateman or anything.
He might have been good enough in the air too.
Yeah, he, once again, he could have taken the place of Jason Bateman.
Yeah, that's very true.
But,
we basically just want to give Jason Bateman as least work as possible right now.
If Up in the Air had been Jason Reitman's first movie instead of Thank You for Smoking, I could see Aaron Eckhart as Ryan Bingham.
Easily.
But, it starts to take itself so seriously. Like, it's this really dumb action movie for most of it, and then by the end, they're like trying to be really serious.
Oh boy.
The girl is a problem too. Liberato is like, I thought about this, and a lot of people love her performance in Trust, but I didn't like either of these performances, because she's really annoying, and she's really whiny, and when she when she tries to do drama, she's like really trying to do drama, and it's a little, just too much.
I gotcha.
She's probably the girl that tried too hard in school plays.
Tracy Flick?
She was probably the Tracy Flick of her school plays.
I had no doubt in my mind that was true.
Election never went into that, but I'm pretty sure Tracy Flick was probably in all the school plays too.
She surely had to be.
But that's pretty much. And obviously, the cherry on the top for Erased is. Oh no, I forgot to mention. There's something that like really doesn't make sense, which is these two people take in Eckhart, and it's a girl. She like has a somewhat boyfriend.
Okay.
And his family his aunt and uncle let them in and to hide out, and the villains come in and they kill them. And I think somebody fucked up in editing.
Okay.
Unless I missed something. I said this. Unless I really, really missed something, this has to be some kind of weird editing error that somehow nobody caught.
Oh boy.
Like maybe they thought, oh, that's too dark, we got to do something nice, but then they forgot about it later. You got the two people, and you got the 5-year-old daughter, and they come in and they shoot the place up.
Okay.
And then they come back later. The kid comes back later and sees that his aunt and uncle are dead, and the girl is like hiding in a corner, and she's still alive. She's like she went over there and hid. They let her live because they were human like that. But then later, Eckhart shows up, and he starts yelling at Eckhart that they were all killed. Like, including the girl.
No.
Unless I mistook some characters here, I think like I said, it sounds like they just went for, like, maybe there was a time where all of them died, but then somebody said, that's too dark, let's let the girl live, and have one shot of her standing in the corner.
Don't say it first.
But they forgot to put that in later. I could be off, but I'm pretty sure that's a major, like, screw up. But obviously the cherry on top, like I was saying earlier, is the ending is totally implausible. I guess I won't give it away if you want to track this down, but the ending is just, it's one of those fake out endings, and it's just, that's not even possible.
Fair enough.
Like, they don't even tell you what the cheat was. The movie just ends after the very implausible thing happens. And that about wraps up Erased. Yes, unfortunately I can't recommend anything tonight.
Oh.
Especially the next one, which is...
I'm waiting forever to hear about this movie.
Okay, I'm just going to tell you the description, and you're going to decide whether or not it's bad. It's a low-budget action movie called Java Heat, and it stars Twilight's Kellum Lutz and Mickey Rourke. I could end the review there.
That's it. We're done.
Alright, let me tell you about it. Okay, well, the problem is there's this bombing. I don't even remember where they are. Yeah, I don't remember where they are, but, Kellum Lutz witnesses this bombing, and there's this, IMDb calls him a Muslim detective. And what happens is, Kellum Lutz is going to work with this guy to figure out who the bomber is.
Mm-hmm.
The bomber is Mickey Rourke, by the way.
Spoiler.
Like you didn't know. No, it's not a spoiler. I was just saying that.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
That's a known plot point.
Gotcha.
So, the thing is, for a while it was coming off like it's not particularly anything else but the bombing scenes by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if The Hurt Locker was a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
My mind's not blown. I just feel like I need to go take a cold shower right now after hearing that. Ugh.
That's the thing. That's what this felt like. This felt like a movie Van Damme turned down.
What year?
Well, that's funny because Mickey Rourke's already been a Van Damme villain in Double Team with Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, Mickey Rourke wouldn't turn it down, but Van Damme would. He didn't legitimately turn it down. I'm just saying that as a joke. That's the problem, though, is what happened to Mickey Rourke?
The wrestler was so... Oh, my God.
Well, here's the thing, is Mickey Rourke was great for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, people say, like, oh, he was washed up and then he did something great with The Wrestler. No. Mickey Rourke was consistently great through his whole career. He just happened to do some crappy movies, too.
Exactly. And
then there was a while where the people say we didn't see him for a while before The Wrestler. People forget, only 4 years prior to The Wrestler was Sin City.
That's true.
So, Mickey Rourke has been this consistent person for a very long time. People just haven't really noticed his movies. Like, he's got a lot of guilty pleasures. Maybe that's why I'm thinking, like... He's got a lot of movies I think are great. A lot of people might think suck. Like, Johnny Handsome and Harley Davidson and Marvel. Man, I love those movies.
I know you do.
But, the thing is, yeah. Like, he's, like, in Immortals and, like, these straight-to-video movies.
Passion Play with the Man.
Yeah, that movie's not terrible, but...
I mean, that's when I noticed he was coming back.
But anyway, that's pretty much where the plot stops. They're just trying to find this bomber who is Mickey Rourke. But the thing is it's one of those movies where the script is so lazy, they can't think of anything else to do with it. So the script will just... Okay, so what'll happen is there's this girl who's like... she died in the explosion, and she's got like a tattoo mark on her. Okay. So like that tattoo mark, it's like a brand, and they're like, that's a clue. Then the movie meanders for like half an hour, and then finally they use that as a clue.
Oh God!
That clue finally comes back into play like a half hour. Well, I'm being serious here. This is one of those parts where they cast Kellum Lutz, and all he does is wear tank tops or take his tank tops off and exercise.
Taylor Lautner was too busy to do this movie.
They look very similar. Not only do they come from the same movies, but they look similar too.
He was doing Grown Ups too.
Aren't they supposed to play family in Twilight?
I think so.
I don't remember, but yeah, I could buy that.
Yeah. Because
they're just there to take their shirts off and do nothing. There's a fucking scene where he's like totally naked, getting a massage. And
why?
That's what I want to ask. This is a dumb action movie in the vein of what Van Damme used to do, but you got Kellum Lutz doing his Twilight thing. Who is this movie made for?
Yeah, there's no twihards that are going to be watching this movie.
I don't understand.
Well, maybe.
Like, they do it like he's eye candy, but this is not a movie for male eye candy.
No, it's not.
Oh.
Maybe they're trying to get a different demographic than just the action movie fans.
Maybe, like...
That's the only thing that comes to my mind.
Like, if in some alternate universe this movie went wide, it was like saying, like... this guy says, I want to see an action movie. I don't know who's in this. And the girl's like, oh, I know who's in that. And it's like, well, it's an action movie and you know who's in it. Let's go. And he drags her to it, or she drags him to it, whichever one you want to.
It works both ways. They're both plausible.
You get as much action as you do Kellen Lutz without his shirt, so... Wow. But the thing is Kellen Lutz is our hero, and we don't know who he is. First off, he claims to be a graduate student. He's not a graduate student. Then we think he might be a cop, but...
He's not a cop.
He's probably not a cop either. We never look... And then he has, like, one... Yes, this is fucking embarrassing. He has a drama scene.
I have to hear this.
Where this cop finally says, you have to... He finally breaks down after, like, the movie's almost over, and he finally says, this cop has been bringing him around with him this whole time. Like, he also might want revenge or something, because apparently he was really getting to know that girl at the bar that had the brand on her that was killed in the explosion. Whatever. But... The movie's almost over, and this cop's been letting him, following him around, like, pointing guns at people and all that. And finally he says, you have to tell me who you are. And he has this big dramatic scene, something about, like, his family dying or something. I don't know, something stupid like that. But it doesn't even explain why he wants this bomber so bad. We have no idea why Kellen wants this bomber so badly. I guess maybe because it's the right thing, because they go into how he was a Marine, and he even says Semper Fi to the guy once, and it's really embarrassing. Just the... This guy is probably going to disappear. Like, that's what the whole Twilight cast, pretty much the sideliners that aren't big already, like Anna Kendrick.
Yes.
They get, like, their one movie, and then they disappear. Like, what was his name? Jackson Rathbone, I think is his name. He was in The Last Airbender.
Yep.
Gone. Kellen Lutz got this. He's going to be gone. And it's going to happen for all of them sooner or later. It's probably happened for most of them. We just didn't even realize it.
Pattinson, I think, is the only person that escaped it. Because he actually can act.
Kristen Stewart can't act,
no.
but she's got a career that's going to happen.
Even though she keeps turning down roles now, apparently.
Well, she
and deciding to get in and out of movies.
On the road will keep her in the indie face for a while.
Oh, she'll be fine in the indies, but not in the mainstream.
But this is one of those movies where not only is, like, the act, like, let's look at Titanic.
Okay.
When you look at Titanic, that everybody, like, you have, like, that's a massive cast.
Yeah.
Like, you have the leads, you have your supporting players, and you have, like, your little bit characters, like the musicians that play till the end.
Everybody's stellar. Everybody
in Titanic is just great.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Danny Nucci, maybe not so much, but everybody in that movie, no matter how small their part is, just brings it effectively.
Very true.
This movie is the exact reverse of that. Everybody, whether they're in the front, whether they're supporting, whether they got bit parts, they're all fucking bad.
They all suck just the same.
Like, there's this guy who owns, like, prostitutes, and they're investigating them.
Okay.
And one of the prostitutes gets killed. And they make a big deal out of this guy. He comes in and he's like, you killed my girls, motherfuckers!
Was he trying to be Scarface?
No, I don't even think he was doing that.
Well, it's just your impersonation.
But this guy is hilarious for all the wrong reasons.
Oh, boy.
The thing is, Mickey Rourke isn't, like, Mickey Rourke isn't bad. Like, he does his villain thing. He does all he needs to do. Like, he doesn't do anything outstanding, but he doesn't lower himself to the rest of the cast.
And this isn't Whiplash from Iron Man either.
He doesn't quite lower himself to the material either. He's, this might have been somebody he played back in the 80s in a small part.
This movie sounds like something I would have heard of in the 80s, literally down to the title. What is the significance of the title Java Heat? Because I'm curious.
They never say it.
Of course not.
I'm
just very curious about that.
It's the steam from coffee.
Yeah, I know it is, but still, there has to be a reason for it.
But, yeah, that's pretty much it. And there's this really embarrassing scene where, it's this prostitute scene. She drugs Kellen Lutz's drink, so he's really drugged out. Watching him have to act drugged out is really horrible.
He's a terrible actor.
But then he starts to question her about, why he's feeling that way, and then what she knows. And it's like, this big drug that she went through the trouble of putting in his drink, and he, like, had to act all drugged out, lasted for, like, 2 minutes. Because once he started questioning her, it was gone.
No sell.
Yeah, that's what the whole movie is. They just follow these contrived clues. Like, a clue comes up, like, once every half hour. The movie's less than 2 hours. Then they have their showdown with Mickey Rourke, and both this and Erased were just very. I watched them one right after the other two, and I just felt so much dumber. Like, oh god.
You didn't know where one movie stopped and the other one began? Except for the cast list, obviously, it'd be different.
And their locations.
Yeah.
So, those were the limited releases. Hopefully we have better limited releases in the future. The English Teacher was good while I was watching it before I had my technical difficulty.
Mm.
So that's a shame. Because it would have been the only good movie tonight.
You'll get it in the near future, hopefully.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll get into that next week or so. But, thankfully, until then, that's that.